Your young black man needs to get an understanding of where we come from as a people, what we've had to go through in this country. Now this is just about his black culture, right? Also, he needs to get a great understanding of his family, what his family had to go through. If his father's not around, the mom has to give all the details she can. Hopefully, she's not in a position where she's giving information about the father from a negative perspective based on her experience with him. Even if he a piece of shit, I don't think women should speak negatively about the father, or vice versa. Men shouldn't do that either. But the kid has to be taught these things. So it can be from a history perspective, where you're teaching them about the men and women who've came before him in history. It can be from a religious perspective. Again, I don't recommend that as much, but if that's the tool you want to use, when the kids are young, we need to start grooming them to be aware of who they are and being confident in loving themselves, right? I think before we can even approach the relationship game, before we can even approach the opposite sex and have something valuable to give to them, bring value to the situation, we need to first get the best possible understanding of who we are. And that starts with learning everything about you. And when we talk about our history, we can't just stop at our family's history per se, just our immediate family, because being black in America, a lot of us have a history of slavery. We have people in our family, like our grandma who could have been on a goddamn plantation. So these are conversations we need to have. If we don't, then we're going to allow our school system who has whitewashed the fucking history, and your kid gonna be thinking Christopher Columbus discovered America and Santa gonna come down your goddamn chimney. You see what I'm saying? So it's up to us to be as real as we can with our kids about all these things. Now, of course, it's going to take you as an adult learning some of these things yourself. It's going to take you being interested in some of this shit yourself for it to actually be beneficial for your child, but it's necessary, family. So before our son or daughter, or I'm speaking specifically about our sons, I will do videos, or I will do shows where I speak directly to young women, to mothers and young women. That will come shortly. But being a black man, having 5 kids, understanding the power that we hold as men now more so than I did when I was a young person, understanding how we kind of dictate how the flow of a relationship works, and we're supposed to be the both men and women can be strong, but we're supposed to be the strong figure in the situation to kind of control certain things. You feel me? So that's why I talk to my young men, because if they approach it the right way, they'll know how to conduct themselves. They'll know how to find the right woman, and everything can be straight from there. So I make it a point to speak to my young dudes, because I understand how it feels to be a young black man and lack certain levels of guidance. You feel me? So knowledge itself is important. After the knowledge itself, what will happen, this is my opinion, family, y'all rock with me for a minute. After the knowledge itself, what will happen is they'll have a high level of respect for themselves, right? For themselves. When anybody of any race or creed, anybody, if you have respect for yourself, it's going to make it much easier to respect other people. But I'm speaking specifically to my people who've had to deal with so much degradation throughout history, who's had to deal with blackface, who've had to deal with separate bathrooms. We've had to deal with a lot of shit that I think is still in our DNA and can affect how we feel about ourselves today. Like, we're getting to a point where we're seeing images of beautiful black people and family, but not really. You see what I'm saying? Throughout history, that really hasn't been the situation for us. If you allow your school system, like I said, if you allow the public school system in most of our cities to conduct or to give your kid the information about history that they need to know, they'll just be thinking we were slaves and that's it. You feel me? You got to understand the psychology of somebody who understands how the police treats them, understands being poor and how these environments work, but also getting information from people outside of your community telling you that you're not shit, telling you that you was just slaves, telling you that white folks used to hang you up by trees. So of course all of these things actually happen, but without context, it can ruin a young person. You feel me? Without the proper context, these things can ruin a young person's mentality and how they think about themselves internally. You feel me? So it's important that we do the knowledge. It's important from there, doing that knowledge will help them have respect for themselves. And then from there, we need to make sure they understand how important their personal development is. What do I mean by personal development? When you have a young man that's entering into high school, or entering into a realm where there are more young women around, we get to a point where we may begin allowing the influence of the young girls, the curiosity that we have for the young girls. We are allowing this to take over our being. We're allowing this to occupy all of our thoughts, sometimes even all of our time, when we begin chasing women and figuring out little girls that we like and running behind these girls and being involved with them in a particular way. It's important that we first understand that if we're going to create a life with a woman, the easiest way to do that, the most constructive way to do that, is to first get yourself together. So your personal development is really important, because if you don't have shit to offer to a woman, it ain't gonna matter. And most young men want a woman that they find attractive. They want a woman that they can build with. They want a woman that has all these different qualities. And what we need to teach them is, before you can seek out somebody that has all those qualities, you gotta have those qualities yourself. I think sometimes, even as adults, we're out seeking people, we're out seeking shit that we not. You feel me? So you don't want to have a young person out here looking for something that they not, looking for all these qualities in a person that they haven't even honed in on yet. So before we even enter into the dating game, because you gotta keep it real, family, once your son get his first taste of pussy, who knows if what that's gonna do to him? You feel me? Who knows how fast he gonna start moving at that point? So when they're younger, we need to make sure they understand certain things. We need to understand that chasing women will never get you what you really need, right? You chase your purpose, and then the women just gonna follow. You feel me? Let me say that again. You chase your purpose, and then the women just gonna follow. So we need to teach our young men who begin to use their sexual prowess as a form of bravado to a degree. We need to make sure they understand that that shit ain't cool. We need to kind of frown upon that shit. Now, if you have a young man who's a player and want to deal with multiple women at one time, there's a way to do that. Based on honesty and communication, there's a way to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do shit. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but how you do it is extremely important, right? So, having them focus on their personal development, meaning who they are as a person, like I was saying, knowledge of self, all that, what they want